Okay. Hi, everyone. We're going to do one more test because we moved upstairs today. So I just want to make sure that this actually streams over here. Because it did this morning and it kind of freaked me out. Oh, there it goes. Okay. Yeah, so if any of you had it saved before, I did a test this morning and it went live. So there's like a 3-second video that I had to delete off of YouTube of me just babbling for like 5 seconds.
I think we're good.
We're good? All right. Well, hi everyone, and welcome to this weekly Wednesday live stream. I'm Timothy Von Rueden, better known as Vonnart Online. I'm joined by Josh. He will be acting as moderator today. And we moved upstairs. If you can kind of tell, there's no fireplace behind us. I think we decided we're going to stick up here. We just have to talk a little quieter so the room doesn't echo as much. Normally I'm a little louder, so I'm going to try to keep it, the volume down a few decibels.
Give your voice a break.
Right. And we're just going to keep it more, loose, more organic on how I actually draw. And I was even just talking to Josh before we started of my dilemma with the Merfolk card deck. And I think I'm going to kind of talk it out during the stream as well. And before we get started, though, if you could put where you're watching from, and then be sure to put @Vonnart or @Schwa?
@Schwa.
Before your comment or question. That way we can see it. And yeah, I think that's mostly what I have to. There's not a lot. Oh, we did finish. I guess I can show you guys this. So for those of you who may have been following me for a little bit, I've been working on a tarot deck. So we're currently on 9 cards finished. And this is probably a question I get at least once a week, usually twice a week. You should work on a tarot deck. Have you ever thought of making a tarot deck? I have, and it's being created. So I just finished the 8 of Wands, and this was an interesting card because it's deceptively simple, but I must say working on it was not the greatest joy because drawing each of these rods basically the same 8 times, and I was really trying to put a lot of individual details within them. And it might be kind of hard to see because this is a smaller print of the actual drawing, but a lot of what the 8 of Wands can represent, it means different things for different readings, but one of them was it might be shooting towards like love and like taking action toward it. So if you look closely, each of the wands have like a little hidden heart near the top. You can kind of see where they are.
Oh.
Seeing that white one right there? So it's like a very vague heart shape. Some of them are a little darker, but yeah.
Oh.
And then there's right in the tip there.
I like that one.
So I like adding little subtle kind of Easter eggs for people who know to look for it. But it was not the most fun to draw, I must admit. And if you are one of my Patreon backers, you can help me vote on the next card. Currently, Josh, they're right behind you behind that book. There should be, I think, 5 or 6 cards just loose. But I'm having you guys help me pick on which card to do next. And currently, these are the cards I'm thinking of. And I chose ones that spoke to me right now where I'm at artistically.
Temperance. Pick temperance.
Josh really wants me to draw temperance because I told him I would use them as the reference.
That's not why.
Okay.
Okay, that's one of my favorite cards.
It's a very beautiful card. I know the wings will definitely be super meticulous.
But yes, being a model for it is kind of intriguing too.
I mean, this one will be really fun to draw. I think there's so many elements within it. I think I tried to give myself also some that I think I could kind of knock out a little easier than the others. But currently, the Queen of Swords is winning, which is interesting because I've already drawn 2 queens, and I thought for sure Temperance would win, considering it's the only major out of the selection that I locked in. But
the Queen of Swords.
If you want to vote, you can go on to Discord now. So I'm pretty excited about starting that next card. And it's been strange actually being on schedule this year for 2022. I try to do 1 tarot card a month. And with the Merfolk project, I'm trying to create about 2 to 3 a month. So technically I'm behind, but I have so much ready to go. With these 2 are almost, this one specifically is so close to being done. But before I actually start working on the King of Spades, I do want to note that this has been a struggle for me artistically, trying to find that balance of over-rendering / over-detailing versus just clean, simple design and having it read well. Because if you guys remember the original draft of her, it was a lot simpler, we'll just say. And I like just keep adding more hair, I keep adding more tail fins, and it's borderline looking a little cluttered. And I think that's always been my biggest struggle with creating products that are for an end result, and especially like a cohesive collective result. So it's not just her, it's 12 face cards, 2 jokers, and they all have to be cohesive in some way. And there's got to be like a story interwoven between all of them. And I added these like looser fin tails here, but I'm just nervous that it's obstructing the simple, clean read of her design. So I might put her on the back burner just for a second until I kind of figure it out. And who knows, maybe working today on the King of Spades will help me decide on that, because he's also kind of in a similar problem for me, where I'm going to make this tail fin very spiky, detailed, and there's just a lot of texture going on. And by contrast, I would want to leave his skin more clean, more simple. But as we were saying before it started, like, why am I so afraid to even add like a shoulder guard that is all, corroded coral and kind of cool? And I think there's a part of me that's so nervous that it won't read as cleanly on a finished card that's only going to be, 3 inches tall. And it's hard for me to hold back over detailing. And I'm just trying to fight the design aesthetic, knowing that this is going to be a playing card that people have to be able to read quickly if they're doing speed games. Normally, I'm sure that these cards won't be used for speed games. I mean, most people tell me they don't even use my cards at all, which isn't really the point. I hope that people would, get the playing cards and actually play with them. Do I have? And then I finished the Jack of Clubs, but even though he looks complicatedly detailed, it's more of a facade because there's really nothing on him. He's just, a shirtless merman with a seahorse tail. And the seahorse tail has a lot of detail, sure, but there's nothing, unique with there's no accessories, there's no articles of clothing, there's nothing to him besides his tail. And I don't know if that's something I want to go back and fix a little bit. And I think that's something that we're going to kind of work through today. And like I said, I tend to ramble. And I got to remember to talk a little quieter. I forgot about that. And that is going to be our stream today. So yeah, if you have any questions, whether it's concerning working on the mermaid card deck, actually how to make a card deck, art questions in general, how we run the art business on the side, or anything just kind of funny, I'm sure we'll talk about movies we've seen, TV shows, and we'll go from there. So yeah.
Nice.
And thanks for coming, everyone. Let's have a good stream.
Figuring out what you're going to do here.
Mm-hmm.
Oscar says, I'm going to be half watching since I'm still on the go. Well, thank you for still joining in. Oh, Iris is here. Happy to finally catch one of these again. Things got crazy, and I immigrated overseas. Never got around to saying that the book arrived safely, and it's absolutely gorgeous.
Well, thank you so much.
Oh, well, good to see you
Josh,
again, too.
really
Glad
quick.
to hear that you're doing well.
So every now and then I got to record for reels.
Oh, yeah.
So if you see me pull out my phone, it's not because I'm checking my text messages.
So it's just stop talking.
Actually, if you could hold, now that I have you here, if you could hold it like right there, and you can go early.
Okay, 3.
So we'll do it now. And then good.
Perfect.
So I feel like that's also another thing that I've been integrating more into this career is like recording myself constantly with like little snippets.
Well, yeah, you kind of have to now.
It was an adjustment for sure, and I mean Josh has heard me struggle through a lot of it, especially late last year. But I think I'm finally finding that routine. So we'll see. I mean, yesterday I created the fastest reels I've ever created. It took me like an hour, and it showed like the tarot deck where I'm at, and I felt like it was a good, quick snippet of information without having to sacrifice like a whole bunch of time or energy on my end to create it.
I feel like with social media, it's hard because you get so used to doing one thing, and then it's one of those ever-changing things. So you just have to get used to almost things never being the same for too long with it.
And I do feel like that's part of the challenge of, I mean, not even just for artists, that's for anyone, adapting to whatever is current and being able to have that flexibility, I think is important.
AJ says hello. Hello from Trinidad in the Caribbean. Well, thank you for joining today.
Oh, hello, hello.
Good to see you. Elena's here. I've had a bad spot of depression, so hope this gets my creative veins pumping. Being able to go to the gym today helped already.
You got this.
Yes.
Actually, even going to the gym is such a good start off to the day. So congrats to you for actually doing that, because when people aren't feeling great, I feel like going to the gym is not like a top priority for a lot of people, even though it does help. So
I mean, we've been doing that too, and I feel like, especially in wintertime, because we're never outside, moving or using our bodies that much. So I feel like just connecting with your body in that way to be able to work out and use it helps a lot. Hero says hello. Janisha's here.
Hello, hello.
Good to see ya.
Hey, guys.
This
So-
one,
There you go.
no, the flip on this one. I could never tell when you're doing the pencil drawing. I see the flip on there, but I still don't get how it flips.
Yeah, so for those of you who weren't here, I believe I did this 2 weeks ago. I did the initial sketch on the iPad as like my thumbnail and how to see how it would flip and finish. So I have it kind of on the side here as reference for me. But when I did my first card deck, like his arm is technically here during the flip, but I'm just gonna render the whole tail, and then when I scan and copy it in Photoshop, sorry, my like voice got higher and higher and higher. Gotta calm down. New microphone. I'm just gonna render the whole tail, and then when I flip it, I'm just gonna erase it in Photoshop. But it always looks so empty to me until I bring it in the computer, and then knowing that there will be a whole nother body and a whole nother tail, and it just looks way better. Because right now it's like, well, okay, it's just like a merman. But we'll see. I'll show you. It'll look definitely better.
Shreya says hello from India. Hello.
Oh, hello, hello.
Elena says, I really tried to make a cool reel, but it did much worse on Instagram than my other post. So not going to stress about making reels too much. Well, they also flop.
I'm telling you, it is stressful with reels. But let me give you some hints or some tips in just 1 second. Josh, I'm going to have you do it one more time.
Oh, yeah.
I found, especially with reels, and I've been talking to my friend Devin, who's kind of like a master at social media. And one of her big tips was, yep, you can go. Wait, I can't talk during the reels. Hold on. There we go. Was to try to do like big spaces, or not big spaces, big changes in a piece. It's easier digital. It would be like filling in an entire area, or like using a paintbrush stroke and like pushing it. Or if you are working traditional, it's easier with brushes and paint when you can do like big strokes that really change the direction of the piece. But traditionally with pencils, it's a little more difficult because oftentimes you're not going to get big changes with like one stroke unless if it's outlining a section of it. So instead, I try to do it when I'm filling in value gaps, like the tail here. And then when I'm doing really nice fine detail, so if I was like rendering out parts of his face, I would pull the camera really close without getting an awkward shadow and try to record that section there. But for doing reels, try not to stress too much on each one. I think the thing that's really helped me since like early January with reels is to recognize that it's not about the quality of one video, it's the consistency of many videos. So you should still aim for quality, obviously, but I think we put way too much importance on each individual reel of it having to be like this perfect, unanimously liked and appreciated post by everyone, where sometimes people just like to see a little behind the scenes process of what you're doing. And one of the best tips, I mean, I've been watching a bunch of tips on Instagram and Reels because I genuinely felt and still feel to some degree behind. I feel like I'm not.
Maybe if I turn this up a little bit. Elena's asking if we could turn it up.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I can turn this up just a hair, too.
Maybe that'll help. Let us know how it sounds now a little bit, Elena.
Yeah, let me know. But one of the other big tips that really helped me was make it about about the progress of your story? No, it was like showing off your journey and having it be more relatable. So not giving the attitude of, I already know what I'm doing, let me show you how to do it. It's the idea of, I'm also like alongside with you guys, kind of struggling in, maybe different ways aesthetically, but similar mindsets and how I get through it. So you want to be kind of showing the humane side of you, or the human side of you. And especially with artists, I think we put ourselves on these pedestals of efficiency, where everything that we create has to be like perfect. And especially if we're recording the process, or especially doing things like live like this can be very intimidating, because I think people sometimes will come and expect you to just whip something amazing out in an hour and a half. And I think it's okay to show, and that's what I think Josh was reminding me before we started this stream too, because I was so nervous about showing this merman without having a very clear direction in mind. And he's like, just do it during the stream, like talk about it. And that's what I'm doing right now. So it feels good. And that's something that you're struggling with social media, is like being afraid that showing your imperfections will lose you followers. At least from the research I've done, I think it'll actually help you gain followers, as long as you're not just purposely like messing up, which I think would be kind of hard to do. I think if you're struggling with a piece and you're showing you erasing it and trying something new and then trying it again and again and again, I think people genuinely like that. And then when you finally get an end result that you're happy with, people were there to experience that struggle with you. And then I think the end result then becomes more appreciated. So anyway, sorry, rant over again.
Elena says those are great tips. I already got ideas of how to do that with my paintings. Yeah, my reel was just a small process of one part. My reel that was just a small process of one part did a lot better, so we'll keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
It's also confusing. I don't even know what the actual formula is yet, but I think there's at least people giving each other tips right now, which helps too. Everyone's looking out for each other.
Yeah. Well, I know the art world specifically has been hit hard with this, because we are a static format creator. Like I draw pictures. My first job instinct is not a video editor or a like syncing audio music to an interesting way of showing my process in a way that would be either both entertaining or educating at the same time. It's a different way of thinking. It's a mindset that you have to kind of get into. And anything I learned, I'll share with you guys. So if you guys have any questions on this, please let me know. Or if you want something for me to even research and look up, because I am in a crazy mood of just researching. I watch a few videos every day on like different techniques that people are using, what's working, what's not working. And it seems to be helping me, at least with my feeling of left behind. I feel like, okay, I'm catching up, me whining about it is not going to help. So why not do something and actually learn what is working?
You gotta outlet that stuff sometimes, but you don't like whining at all, though.
I don't like whining.
Yeah, you don't like whining at all.
You know what? I might make... My original drawing had his body kind of pressed up against each other, but I think I'm going to create a little gap here. We'll see how that looks.
Karina MP says, great to catch you live. Greetings from Germany.
Hey, well, greetings,
Welcome.
greetings. Is it as cold in Germany there as it is here. Are we on like a similar, what is that, longitude, latitude?
I think, right?
Yeah,
What
let us know.
is-
Because right now I think it's, what, 18 degrees Fahrenheit-ish?
What
Is that what you told me earlier?
Yeah. So that would be a negative 11 degrees Celsius is what it is right now here.
Oh.
Yeah, it's 12 degrees Fahrenheit right now, yeah.
Yeah, because for us, I don't know about a lot of you watching, but it's definitely, it's cold. It's cold here in Wisconsin, which is expected. But I personally like winter. I think it's like a really great time to refresh and reflect on just your year. For me, it's usually not reflecting on like the year that was, but the year to come. So for me, I feel like January was this great time of like reflection on what I was struggling with so hard in November, December with not only feeling behind, but my Instagram was like plateauing so hard. And then it's really easy to play the blame game of, well, it's the algorithm, or people only want artists that can spit paint, or whatever things that try to make you feel better. But I realized none of those were making me feel better, because at the end of the day, it's not helping me with my own content creation and my own page. So instead, I put my head down. I actually bucked up, did the research, and realized, yeah, I'm not just going to be perfect all the time, especially with social media and knowing how to run it. It's an evolving game that you have to adapt with. And that's what I think, having a moment in January just to reflect on that and then to move forward in more positive mindset, because having a negative mindset, or the world is against me mindset, I really believe in the power of like manifesting and the placebo effect. So for me, since that's all I was thinking about was how things were failing, I was manifesting more failure to come my way. And I'm sure everyone's been in that situation. And that was something that I just had to recognize I was doing and pull away from it. Oh, I thought I felt one of the cats. Nope.
So in Germany, it sounds like it's roughly 4 to 5 degrees Celsius, which is like 40. Elena says, though,
okay.
it's a lot closer than to Helsinki, where I live. We just got a lot of snow over the weekend, and now it's getting colder. And then Karina says, no more snow, sadly, just cold and... No snow, sadly, just cold and rainy. Ooh. Yeah, there hits a point in
Cold
winter,
and
though,
rainy.
especially in, like,
March.
early December, though. No, in early December when it's still really cold, but there's no snow.
Oh,
I hate that. So everything's just wet and cold. At that point, I just want snow because I like the look of snow.
I think that's why.
It's-
I mean, I do like all the seasons, but if I had to pick a month that I'm not super fond of, I think it would be March, because it's a time where spring is like kind of knocking on the door, but everything's just wet and cold, like what you're saying. And everything's
Yeah.
still dead because everything died from last fall.
Muddy.
Or not dead.
What did Mary Jane say? It's dormant.
Dormant.
Yeah.
Yes.
Everything's
the trees
dormant.
aren't dead; they're dormant.
Yes. Better way to look at it.
Which is actually a great way to look at it. But everything's just soggy. That's kind of the word I use to describe March. Just soggy.
But Tim's taking me snowboarding tomorrow, so that'll be fun. My first time ever. It's gonna be, well, it's gonna be that same like negative 11 degrees Celsius, so roughly like 12 to 15 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's gonna be a little cold. I'm tending to be. Is there like a lodge there that if it gets okay? So a little like cocoa break or something.
I told Josh, if any of you guys have been snowboarding or skiing before, the first time you go, it's not really fun per se. It's a lot of falling. It's a lot of just learning to land on your butt. And
Well, Tim was telling me about the chairlifts. I didn't
yeah.
realize you would literally jump off the chairlift
well,
with your board on, and you like, everyone's gonna watch me biff it. I can imagine myself too. The chair like comes back and hitting me.
that sometimes happens.
Oh God.
Well, I was telling Josh, I mean, jump off sounds a little more dramatic. You slide off. You'll see when
I'm
we
gonna
get
be having
there.
a panic attack the entire way up that chairlift until
I
I'm
almost
off of
shouldn't
it.
have told you, but then I would have felt worse if then we got to the top and you're like, wait,
Wait,
what?
Tim, what?
Yeah, so I
Well,
have
think-
to tell you.
I think the first time I don't wear the board and I just run off. Or can you not do that?
I don't even know if you can do that. I think you're required, because then they don't want people accidentally dropping their snowboard when they're on the chairlift, because if it hits someone,
Oh, true.
it could kill them.
It could kill them.
I mean, you're like
Oh, I see.
30, 40 feet
like
up.
when you're on the chairlift part. I
Yeah.
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe that's my mind being more dramatic than it actually
Maybe
is.
a little bit, but
It'll be fun though. We'll report back. I'll definitely do stories of it on my Instagram. Will you actually do a post about it if you enjoy it?
yeah. I don't really post to Instagram that much. But,
No, you don't.
But my tip is not that I even get likes. But if you don't post in a while, it does that notification to everyone that's like, Flash Delirium hasn't posted in a while.
Wait, really?
Yeah, if you don't post in a while, it gives like a notification out. So if you're just really desperate, this isn't good advice. Just don't post for like 6 months, and then.
Could you imagine?
Hang on, we got a question. Mohammed says, "Hey guys, I just
Hey,
learned.
Muhammad.
I just learned to draw the structure of a face, but I couldn't render it. So could you tell me where to start?"
Okay. Yes.
Sticky notes.
Sticky note time. So, when you are rendering a face, let's say you have like the general shape of the head. He's got these cool wavy hair because he's a merman. Okay. So let's say that's kind of your base. Oh, it looks so... I should not have chosen a red sticky note, but that's the only one I could find.
I like his chin.
So, so when you're at this stage, usually what I do is I try to block out values before I even get into detailing. So, kind of going back to my drawing 101 back in college, if this is his center line down the face and then this is his eye line, I'll create my value shadows for the eye socket here, because I'm assuming the light source is above you. Here, let me zoom in. Maybe that'll do better for a little better. Yeah, red is definitely not the best for showing, but anyways, there will almost always be a shadow then under the nose as well, and that will be on that center line.
It's like weird because on OBS it shows it, but on here it's so light. See that?
Oh yeah.
Weird.
Okay, well, I'll get new post-it notes before next time. But then the upper lip will also be a little bit in shadow. So I try to then go for the cheekbone if they have a pretty pronounced cheekbone, and then the shadow under their head. Because if you can kind of block out where the values will be, it becomes way easier then to place the detail. And I think it's really difficult, especially when you're just starting out, not to just rush towards detailing the eyelashes on the eyes. But try to block things out first. And that's kind of a tip I have to remind myself as well, because I want to just jump in it too quickly for doing the details. And often if I just take a second to really black out the values first, I can find more of the form of the face and then go from there. Yeah, something like that.
Oh, Destiny Daniel, thank you so much for subscribing.
Oh, well, thank you. Oh, yeah, we can turn the sound on for that, I guess.
Just a little bit. Is that my chair or your chair?
That's yours.
That's my
Or
chair.
wait, is that
Do
me?
I have squeaky again?
That's you. Your squeaky
No.
chair. Do you want to get?
I'm
You
so
could get the
fidgety.
WD-40 and just
I don't.
Mr. Fidgets.
It's okay. Oh my! I don't know what it's doing. It wasn't doing that a little bit ago. I probably just pushed it too much.
So I hope that helped. But I think after these mermaid streams, we might revert into doing some more of tutorial ones. So I think that would be one of the ones we would actually tackle. Oh, well, thank you.
Wesley Luis Rosa de Souza. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So that will be something probably in June, most likely. And I know a lot of you want to do more of those stream follow-alongs or the actual life drawing sessions together. And I'll definitely be doing Patreon paintovers, even though I am mostly a traditional artist now. I mean, I was a digital teacher for 7 years roughly, and I used to do paintovers all the time, critique streams. So I want to bring those back as well.
Alyssa, sounds like the tactic I've been doing lately on Insta. Completely intentional. intentionally for sure.
For what?
Oh, not posting.
Oh.
It's not good advice, but nor am I posting an Instagram for posting pictures of me holding my cat. So
Wait, is this Ella, the Armad Ella?
yes.
Hey,
Ella says, "Everyone, I'm fashionably late. Sadly, dinner coincided with dinner, and I had to take care of the kitchen afterwards." Oh yes.
So just so you know,
I feel that.
we're waiting on Josh to pick which emoji next. I showed it to him. It is on balls in his court.
But did you send it to me?
Remember I had it open yesterday?
Oh my god.
So Ella's making all the wonderful emojis for our Discord that you can join below, but also for the YouTube streams. If you join as like a YouTube member, you can use the exclusive emojis. And I think come summertime, I'm gonna make it. We'll make it so that only YouTube members can submit pieces of work to be critiqued on, and then I know these streams they make it so that only members can comment on it. So it's gonna be kind of a YouTube member stream, just for the critiques. And probably all my Patreon backers as well. Oops, got distracted for a second. So yeah, actually, I really like how this tail's looking. Because this is kind of the direction I wanted to go in, where it's like this creepy, corroded, kind of scaly look. And going back to my thumbnails, which I'll show later, my original one of the Spade family was kind of this chaotic tail fin against these very clean, pale upper bodies. And I like that contrast.
Hang on, my god. Okay. Elena says, in southern Finland, October, November are the hardest because there's very little daylight time. But because there's also no snow, everything is just blackness. So snow makes it better.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Yeah, that's December. And then March, as Tim was saying too, because the snow starts melting. So then it's just like muddy wetness, still kind of cold. Yeah, it's just... But then May is usually nice. You get that like freshness in the air. Yeah. Lena says also, fun fact, all the area north from the longitude line, just below the most southern part of Finland, has only about 10 million people living up here. 5.5 million of them being Finnish.
Oh. I did not know that.
Actually, also weird fact is too, I think technically the majority of Canadians live... We technically would be more north of a majority of Canadians. Because most Canadians, if you look at the latitude, longitude... What's the long one that goes around the Earth? Is that the longitude? Or is that... No, latitude's up, down, longitude's
I can't say
right,
with
left.
Confidence, is it?
Okay. But yeah, majority of... So I think we technically even live more north of majority of Canadians. Because when you look at...
True.
Hang on, let me get let me get my world map out. Or I can just do
You actually pull it out of your back pocket
and
and start unfolding.
I want to be like that one day.
Do either of your... Does anyone's parents still do that? Mine still do that, where they'll like open up a map. Even like driving to... We live near Milwaukee in Wisconsin. And if there's somewhere in Milwaukee that they need to go to, they'll on the phone tell me what streets to go on. I'm like, oh, it's fine. Like, I'll just use Google Maps. I can get there. Like, we'll just make sure on the second turn off the freeway that you turn left on whatever street name and blah, blah, blah. And they're like trying to give me these audio directions. And I'm like, why? I promise I'll get there with my phone.
I mean, do you remember? I remember when I first started driving, though, I would do the Google... What? Okay.
We're literally south of all of Canada.
Okay. Tim, history lesson or geography lesson. Technically, we're not, but most of the majority of Canadians live. Can you please let me talk? Okay. Look, do you see Toronto? This is where a majority of Canadians live.
Okay.
So I know there's like this huge, but most of them, the majority of Canadians live just on this part. So maybe not us necessarily right here, but if you live in like northern Minnesota, technically there's more Canadians that live south of you than north of you.
I mean, kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But definitely not where we are in Wisconsin.
No, we're close, but... Mohammed says thanks for the advice. I'll try it.
Yeah, let me know if that helps. Just remember, save your like finer details till kind of near the end, because if you're not creating a good foundation to draw upon, the whole thing is just gonna kind of fall apart. You know, God, I love doing texture so much like this. This is definitely like my wheelhouse because you can kind of have this chaotic scribbling effect almost everywhere. And then when you get to it, when you actually start rendering out, you pull from those random chaotic lines, and it just creates these nice like porous, and you can almost like imagine your hand running over it and feeling all the bumps and like the imperfections. And this type of texture work I love doing.
Janisha says, when I visited New York a few years back, I used map to get around. I mean,
that's so cute. Well,
it helps. Plus, because your phone doesn't always, especially in the city, sometimes your phone service just drops. But I kind of liked, remember, I don't know, printing off your Google Map route, or MapQuest, yeah, MapQuest.
I remember so many parties I went to in high school where I printed out MapQuest and I had to like follow it.
I would print out, well, sometimes too, the worst is when you'd forget to print the return route. So then you're trying to read it backwards. Oh my God. Missing turns. I remember actually one time I got so lost. It was when I worked at a farm. It was this like other farm kid was throwing a little like get together at his house. So you know how when you're out in the farm country area, it can get confusing to know where you're at.
I mean, yeah.
I must have missed a turn, and then I got so lost. That was terrifying. But I had to call him even to be like, I have no idea where I'm at right now. I ended up not going to the party because I was that lost. Tim, I really got that lost.
Whenever I think of you missing a party, I just imagine you walking, like if you're late, be like, what's that quote from Brazil? Oh, sorry I'm late. I didn't want to come.
I may have intentionally got lost. No, I'm kidding. But I had to call my dad, tell him what road I'm at, and they were able to find me online and then help me get back to like the road I need to get on. Different times.
Different times for sure.
I mean, meanwhile, our parents literally just had to use maps. They didn't even have MapQuest.
I mean, my first car, my little Saturn, my dad put maps in my car.
Oh yeah, my dad always did that too. He'd always get the updated editions and put them in. That's such a like dad thing, I guess.
Very boomer dad, for sure.
It was those gas station map books.
It was very cute though. Actually, another thing that my dad taught me is I'll always have $20 of cash in my car in case I ever need to get gas, like on the whatever, or if something happens and like I need someone to drive me to a gas station to fill it up. This is before I had a credit card, though.
Oh, I mean, that's kind of cute.
I still now always have a $20 bill just in my car. Are there any like other weird things that your parents taught you when you're younger, like teenage years, that are kind of irrelevant now?
But you just do?
But you still do. I'd have to think about it, but I'm sure there's plenty more.
There are definitely things. I feel like they're just so habitual, though. The map thing was a thing for a while for me. I would still just get new maps, too. I think there was just that fear of like if your phones go down or the apocalypse starts while you're driving, you could still find your way through. But
oh, I know one.
I'm trying to think of something
because it's something that we do whenever we go to the movie theater.
That I do?
No, that I do. That you hate.
Oh, bringing.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
So I was definitely one of those families that my parents. We weren't really the richest. It's not that we were poor, but we weren't the richest. So whenever we'd go to the movies, we would always bring our own drinks and like snacks, and we would have to hide them on our bodies somewhere. My mom would usually always put it in our purse.
Well, your mom probably brought fun snacks, though. Tim now brings like cashews.
Well, that's
kombucha. Like,
do you know what my mom's
the movie theater?
You know what my mom's favorite snack was for us as kids? Pretzels. Oh. So I remember pretzel rods at a movie theater.
Those are a little loud. Those are good though.
Yeah, and like to this day, what's funny is I don't buy them that often because usually pretzels nowadays are so processed. At least the ones at the store.
I mean, I don't like pretzels, but
yeah, you don't even like pretzels.
Yeah,
I would say most people don't have like an affinity for pretzels. They're not like excited for pretzels.
That was my mom's go-to snack though too.
Pretzels?
Always getting pretzels. Yeah. Also, Chex Mix. I didn't really.
Oh, I don't like Chex
I only
Mix.
like the little those brown crispy things, whatever those are.
Oh no, those were the worst.
I
Chip
liked
ones.
those chips, yeah. But otherwise, no.
What's the other one? I'm not a big fan of trail mix, and the other one that everyone talks about loving.
Trail mix with M&Ms though. That was like.
You know what's funny? As a kid, I didn't like it. I'm sure as an adult, I would love it.
Trail mix?
I mean, we can't have M&Ms. If there were like dark chocolate ones, I'm sure I would love it.
I think we found that one place that did that where you could get they were like M&Ms in the trail mix.
What's that one
But
brand?
I like when the M&Ms get salty. I don't know why. It just
The bare naked.
yes, that's good.
Those are good. That's good trail mix. The cashew one specifically is great.
Oh yeah, do you guys have any weird things your parents that you're gonna just keep doing? Elena says, I was taught that if attacked, punch once really hard, as that doesn't count, as that most likely would count as doesn't count as assault here, and then run away screaming. Also, to always have money for a taxi if I need one. So punch once, that won't count as assault, and then run.
I did know something or I just found out, apparently something some moms, or a lot of moms apparently tell their daughters, I didn't even know this, is if you're ever being followed or you feel like you're possibly in like a sense of danger, you should go up to any woman, other woman on the street, and just say, oh, hey, Mom, thanks so much I'm sorry I'm late for meeting her. Like, hey, great to see you again. Like, and apparently most women apparently know this, of like they'll help you out. All you have to do is like kind of give that scared face of like, hey mom, I'm, it's great to see you, blah blah, and like hug them or not even hug them, just make it clear that like you need help. Apparently that helps ward off strangers. I know, I just discovered that. I was like, man, boys really have it so much easier than girls, and I think it's something that we take for granted all the time. But I think having a lot of girlfriends, I think we are recognizing more and more, especially when we go out, when we go to cons, and hearing them talk about, like, when we're in a city, like when we're at Dragon Con or something, and hearing them talk about always carrying, what is that, pepper spray? Or just, like, weird things that mostly, admittedly, I never think about. Or
even at the con, though, guys that come up to their booth.
Yeah, if any of you guys have done cons before, there's so many creepy guys that come up to our girls' booths, and it's just really slimy. It's not a lot, but it's usually at least once a con. I would say every girl.
Yeah.
I know my friend Kat, when she was doing con, she would wear a wedding ring just to try to help.
That's actually really smart, though.
Right? So I guess if that's another thing you can do if you want to ward off creepers, is wear a wedding ring. Pretend you're married.
Buy the nicest one you can.
Just a ring pop. I'm married.
Paprika says, I'd still do that if I went to the cinema. As a kid, my mom forbade me from buying popcorn because it's overpriced, and we didn't have much money.
See? I still think paying what you'd pay for popcorn is ridiculous.
It really is, but...
Thankfully, we go... I don't know if you guys have this where you guys are, but in Wisconsin for Marcus Theaters, Tuesdays, it's $5 movies, so it's $5 for each person, and then it's free popcorn in like a good-sized bag. But they also made, if the little bag did not suffice, you can buy the large, big-ass popcorn for, what is it, like $5?
It's way cheap on Tuesdays.
Way cheaper. Yeah. Way cheaper.
That's why we only go Tuesdays now.
Mm-hmm.
Teflina says hello from Winter Wonderland. Hello, Teflina. Good to see you. Ira says, I always had to carry the pads for my female cousins. To this day, I get antsy if I don't have emergency menstrual pads in the car or book bag. Oh. I do that for my friends too.
Do you really?
Well, I used to, because in my backpack, I think I still have them. For one of my friends, I would have tampons in there just in case.
Really?
Yeah. Just in case. I think they're actually still sitting in the backpack, probably still too.
That's so neat.
Right? I don't have to, because she's got a boyfriend and he took the job from me. This gay man's out of work now.
What's a gay man to do?
Right. Got no tampons to hand out anymore. Elena says, just saying that about going to a woman, most women don't really know that. But not wearing headphones when walking alone at night Having keys between hands. I wear a ring. Yes. Yeah, I think it just definitely have to be more alert. I mean,
Yeah, you got
I've had a lot of friends that, I mean, I had one friend that had a creepy situation with that too, where a guy was kind of stalking her, like to her home and stuff even too. So I just, yeah, that's weird to me.
Because then my best friend Kat, she's like a fitness person. She'll send me DMs that she gets from strangers.
Those
They
are
are
so
so
weird.
bad. I'm so nervous for my nieces because one of them specifically is like 9, I believe, 9 or 10. And she's trying to do TikTok videos. And I'm just like, please, please do not let creepy, weird old men send profane things to her because she won't understand what it means. And it could be just really devastating and borderline traumatizing. I'm scared for newer generations on any social media platform, honestly. Because there are some creepers out there that are relentless. Like, they will not care that you are a 10-year-old girl, it's so gross. It's so gross.
It's disturbing.
Ugh.
Elena says, also the reason I always have money for a taxi is for that reason. Never get stuck anywhere. If you get harassed, just get in a taxi and leave. As usually afterwards, I don't want to get the bus. Elena says, my ex-boyfriend always went on a run at the dead of night because I was quiet. I would never dare because of being a woman, and I despise that as a thing. I mean, yeah, that's...
It shouldn't have to be a thing, you know?
I mean, yeah.
It sucks that even has to be a thing. But, you know, hopefully things every year will get a little better, a little more secure. I think it helps with countries and especially cities adding more of those security cameras. Obviously, it's not going to completely, go away, but I think it might help deter it.
Probably lighting and stuff, too. I know cities are trying to add more lighting and stuff, too.
Mm-hmm.
So that things are a little... You can be more aware of your surroundings then.
Oh, yeah. I like how this fin's looking.
There was something else, too. It was like a blink. There's a whole thing with that, too. Kind of like where you're saying with the mom thing. Like going up to her and being like, oh, hey, mom.
Oh, yeah.
There's something else, too, I forget that you do. But I think that's more for domestic violence situations, though. There's something you can do to, like, let someone else know you're dealing with it. I forget what it was, though. It's like a blink. It's a certain way you blink or do something, and I forget what it is. Ella says, if a woman came up to me, bless you.
Thank you.
Looked scared and acted as if she knew me, I'd probably get it just from the context and situation, but I can't say I've heard that's something you should do.
Maybe that's something that American girls are told. I don't know. Like I said, I shouldn't even be saying this because I've just heard about this recently. So maybe this was just in a pocket of Wisconsin. This is something that happens. I don't know.
Jen says hello from Denmark. Oh, hello, Jen. It's good to see you.
Hello.
Oh, no chipmunks this time. Yeah, this time no chipmunks, thankfully. That was really cute, though.
Day. Not a great day for Timbo.
That was a rough day for you, yeah. But we're better now.
Well, I think it kind of goes along the same lines of what I've been learning about. You just can't treat everything as it being perfect, running smoothly for you. And with your reels, that's how I'm kind of relating it to, but not to expect that it's going to be 100%. And when things aren't great, just move on, just move on from it. And I think sometimes I have that level of, I wouldn't say I'm a perfectionist. I think I'm very okay with letting things shift and change. And I usually put my drawings just on my table. Like a cat could just walk on it and it doesn't really bother me.
I think it bothers me more than you, honestly.
I think it bothers you more than it bothers me. But for some reason, with live streams, I always feel like there has to be this level of, I don't know, I don't even know.
I don't know.
Elevation. I don't know.
I don't
but
know
it's
why
so
you
silly.
have that, yeah.
Because I think when I was my best on my streams years ago is when I was literally just kind of doing what we're doing, just chatting and just having a good time. And then when things aren't working, just talking through it.
CG cookie a little bit, though, too. Because you did streaming more as a career thing where it was supposed to be a professional setting, where this is still a career thing in a way, but it's not as...
It's more casual.
It doesn't have to be as formal, yeah. I thought the Chipmunk's voice was hilarious. I actually went back and watched the beginning of it just to relive that for a second.
Oh, gosh. I think it's a good reminder, too, to not take life too seriously, because I think that's one of my bad habits when it comes to like my quote unquote professional art life. Because in real life, I'm like the easiest to get along with in terms of like nothing really bothers me, and I'm like the least offended person. You could say like jokes at me all day. I like a good back and forth sassy retort, so I don't mind it all. And like I could totally not take myself seriously, like especially at parties. I can be loose and fun, but when it comes to professional stuff, I always feel like there's gotta be this like wall of like, like suit up and I just know I'm not that person. I think I'm professional when I need to be like behind a booth or something. I'm not gonna be like crazy, and I would definitely not be someone that would be like drinking behind my booth or doing something that could hurt, overall. But yeah, for live streams, I just need to let go of that sense of it needs to run perfect, and yeah, that's what I experienced last week. I'm gonna start. So I have this tail pretty much where I want it for my first pass, and then I'm gonna continue that through this tail here. So maybe I'll zoom up a little so you guys can see. And then we'll go from there.
I also have 2 big Rottweilers. Those will definitely protect you.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to look out for you. Ella says, I live at the moment at the countryside of Sweden in a neighborhood where the middle age is 70, so I feel pretty secure.
I mean, that's how we feel in Waukesha.
Yeah, it's pretty...
It's mostly older people.
It's an older crowd. Elena says, I have a Tibetan Spaniel. He would not be able to fight off anyone.
That's how I feel about our cats. I mean, they're not going to do anything if a robber came in.
They would just watch.
Astrid would watch. Casper would be hiding. Astrid would be like, they got what they deserved.
Oh my god. Astrid would not... No. Astrid's so snuggly lately. She loves me. She even snuggled last night. In the middle of the night to him. That's just love.
Loves me.
I'm trying to convince you right now. She loves me, Tim. I mean, yeah, Casper will just hide the entire time.
Yeah.
The second they leave, he comes out looking for food. The lighting in here is really nice, though. Because, yeah, we moved upstairs and we were nervous, but we don't even have any box lights set up right now. It's just purely the windows.
This feels way more natural, too. I mean, as fun as the green screen was, it looked a little shoddy, admittedly.
I think the basement also gave you that little bit of professional, or because I think being surrounded by all these box lights, this feels more homey, and I like that feeling of.
Yeah, I'm gonna have you record one more time.
I can look outside the window.
You hold it like right.
Oh yeah.
Here.
Okay. My hands are so shaky.
No, you're good.
I feel so wobbly. Is that okay? Can you fix that?
Oh, that's fine.
Okay.
I don't take my reels too seriously, as we've talked about. I mean, I do, but I don't.
Tim, when he holds a camera, he can be so still. And then when I'm holding a camera, it's like...
I'm like doing it with 2 fingers in like a muka hand pose. I'm like, yes.
It doesn't move. And then I literally have a full grip on it, and it's still like
using 2
wobbling.
hands, and you're like, okay, here we go.
Oh, Jonathan's here.
Liddell?
Jonathan Liddell.
What up,
Another
Jonathan?
Warm Scottish hello, gents. We used to have a white golden retriever who was just the best. Oh, golden retrievers I've never met a mean golden retriever.
Yeah, they're good dogs.
Yeah, they're just so sweet. No, that was a lab. Never mind. I was gonna say one of my friends had a lab. Labs always felt were very energetic dogs.
Yeah, I had a lab growing up. I love the lab though.
Yeah, just a lot of energy. Because I know the one that my friend had was. The dog was old and still had like puppy energy.
Also, this is definitely a trick of the trade. Even though everyone would probably recommend a ruler or something, I know so many artists that will just pull whatever is in their vicinity, just use the edge as the ruler.
Jonathan, shaky cam reels, hashtag arty. I have the taste.
It was intentional.
Yeah. I mean, I do kind of like that you use that paper to do that, though.
Well, it's the same with, I mean, I've done TikToks on this
Cups.
before. Cups, bowls.
Yeah, cups, bowls.
It's, I don't know. There's something that makes it feel like childlike again, in that initial sense of wonder that we had as kids drawing, or at least I know I get that. I'm definitely going to add these little flares. I was deciding with it, but I'm like, you know what? No, this is... I can't not have my mermaid people have a little bit of kind of a detail intricacy to them. So yeah, I just needed to work it out through the stream.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I was hoping you were going to do it.
I think it just adds more uniqueness to them.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, how many mermaids do you see that are basically just human top and then like a really pretty fin? Where I want to add it a little bit more, give it a little more of a mono intricacies. Actually, speaking of a mono, I was playing Final Fantasy X yesterday, and I'm getting near the end. Josh hasn't seen the game ever, so I don't want to spoil anything and how it ends, but I'm very excited. And then I'm going to move on to... I might finish Final Fantasy 12 because I started it, and I love... Honestly, it's my favorite fantasy game in terms of just detail work in the environments and the mood it gives off. It really is like high... I don't want to call it high fantasy. Like detailed fantasy. It's just so gorgeous. And I think the main city of Dalmasca... It's so nice to walk around it because you feel like you're in this breathing city. Even more so than, like, I'll watch you play Final Fantasy 14 or even WoW. I think WoW is the better looking one of the two. But sometimes they'll just have these really big hallways or areas that are just kind of big. And then you play Final Fantasy 12 and everything feels more like how it probably actually would be, where it's more tight-knit. And, like, cities are never, like, huge open space. It's always very crowded, and... every little booth has their own little shop, and I like that about 12 a lot. But I also think 9, and then whenever they re-release 6 on the Switch, I want to play those two this year as well.
Tim really likes ragging on 14.
It's not that I'm trying to.
But you have to realize that most two are made for, like, a lot of people, so they can't have cramped spaces because it wouldn't work for a lot of people logged in at once.
I mean, I still think you could, like, almost make it, like, kind of difficult to get through the crowd. And that's why, like, if you had a main strip in a city that was kind of difficult to get through, it'd be more fun than to find, like, the little side shops outside of the main strip that you could go to instead. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Okay, Tim.
There are just times where I'm watching Final Fantasy 14, and it'll be like a shop, and the shop is like 100 feet wide tunnel. And like, it's just the same pillars repeated like 20 times. The same floor texture repeated like 10 times. I think where Final Fantasy 14 shines is, I think their cinematics are really good. From what you tell me, the community is great.
Yeah. I like 14's community. And I think what was I going to say?
Didn't you say it was more
the
difficult?
The gameplay is really good.
Yeah, for gameplay. Like in a fun way. Difficult in a fun way.
Paprika, why is my question being ignored? Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe I just missed it.
Joshua.
Right. Sometimes tagging at schwa, honestly, even more than vonnart, helps me see it too. Let me just make sure. Okay. Paprika asked, yeah, that was not intentional, I promise. Was just, moving past that one. Paprika says, how do you avoid wrist pain? I always get it when I hit the 2-hour mark while drawing. I'm trying to draw more from the elbow, but oh well.
Okay, this might be one of those things where I shouldn't be saying this, but I'm going to say it anyways. I do not draw from the elbow almost at all. I'm almost always doing wrist drawing, which I know is not the recommended way. And I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, it's so much better, because I'm sure it's not. But I'm a very light artist, and by that I mean like light-handed. So when I'm drawing, like even this, I'm like barely pushing on the surface. I'm letting the pencil kind of glide over it, and I'm letting the graphite adhere to the paper very, very lightly. So it's not until I'm using my mechanical pencil, or where is one of my darker pencils here? Nope, that's a 2H. Usually with these pencils, or I guess even an HB, I'll probably push down a little harder into the paper, but I try to keep it as light as possible, and that helps with not having wrist pain, because most days I'm drawing for at least 3.5 hours, and especially if I decide to draw at night, I mean, that could be like a 7-hour total day, because I'm always doing 3 hours on my 3 projects. And then usually at night, I'll go in the front room while Josh is playing his game, and then I'll just draw. And I'll be drawing until like midnight, 1, 2 a.m. And I usually don't have any problems. Something I will say is I do eat fairly well. I do believe in like you are what you eat mentality, and like making sure that you're getting everything you might need in a daily dose. We do work out every morning now. I mean, they're short. They're nothing like... It sounds more than it actually is, but it's like a 10-minute, workout. And we've been doing this, what is that, Qigong, kind of stretching and breathing techniques before we do the workout.
It's like meditative because it's focusing on balance, breathing. It's kind of a neat way to start the day off. Keeps you focused.
If you take care of yourself in general, I think that'll help with like pains and stuff. I've been vegan for 6 years, and I'm 32 going on 33, and I have rarely had wrist pains, like rarely. But one thing that I know helps, I have a video on YouTube. It's like 3 ways of stretching your wrist.
I can link that one again too.
Yeah, could you? Thank you. But the main 3 ones are like pulling this back. Don't go too far where it hurts, but like enough where you're feeling somewhat of a stretch. And then you have your hand out like this, L, and then down. And then you pull that wrist in, and you should feel this right on the top there. It's like right there. And then the last one, you wrap your fingers around your thumb, and then you pull down. So like you're here, and you pull down, and you should feel that on the top of the wrist here. So those are the 3 stretches I'll do. Sometimes just sitting, just like mindlessly watching TV. I might like quickly do the 3.
I feel like every hour or two, you usually, not every hour, but every couple hours you do take breaks too and just stop for like 30 minutes or so if you're just really going.
Yeah. Because I have this little clock. So like what Josh was saying, I'll usually set an hour of my time. And then once this beeps, it usually is my indication to stand up, go get a glass of water, go to the bathroom, do something. But yeah, try not to draw for like 6 hours at a time without taking breaks, or like even 4. I don't think that's good for your body in general. So make sure you're treating it right, and it will respond in a good way. But if you are noticing it is hurting, try to go easy on it. Like in the few times in my life where it has been flaring up just even a little bit, I'll take it more easy. I won't be doing hard rendering lines with like a mechanical pencil. I'll probably jump to like different drawings and do more like the lighter part of the drawing, because I know I'm not pushing down as hard. Or I'll just take a day off. It's rare. But
Tim doesn't know what to do with himself on those days, but
they do happen sometimes, like usually like 5 times a year maybe.
Yeah,
that sounds right.
Usually if Tim's just hectically cleaning something, those are days he's taking a drawing break because he needs something to do.
You can tell when I'm like, yeah, you're right. If I'm like cleaning something for like hours, like a room, I'm taking my day off.
See, like my ideal day off is I don't do the dishes, I don't clean up anything. I just wake up, sit at my computer or watch a movie and just chill all day long. Tim's ideal day off is let's go to Goodwill, drop some stuff off. Let's go to the dump and let's clean out this closet.
I did that on Saturday. It was supposed to be our day off.
I want to paint my walls. I'm like, Tim. But that's it helps me stay ambitious because when I want a day off, I just want to do nothing. So
Yeah, I think it just bothers me not doing something.
yeah, you always
gotta
have
be
to
doing something.
You do give yourself breaks though. Like honestly, like even last night, you gave yourself a break for a moment and actually played 10, and it was nice to see you just chilling for a little bit.
Yeah.
I think I'm definitely more of a lazy person, so it's nice to be with someone that's more not lazy, because it does motivate me more and put me in a better mood, honestly. Because sometimes when you're too lazy, you do start feeling a little gross.
Well, you've been practicing your music way more too. I feel I started doing my schedule late December, and I think since then now you've kind of got a little schedule too for yourself.
I've been I play piano now like at least hour and a half a day, hour to hour and a half, 2 hours. Yesterday I did 2 hours, so. But I mean, I'm starting to feel the worst thing with piano even too, playing again, because some of those stretches can hurt really bad.
Yeah, I believe it. Actually, I'm gonna flare this one out.
Oh, Fem's here. Hello, Fem.
Hey, Fem.
A bit late, but I made it. Well, there's no being late to these streams, just whenever you show up. Jen says, reused assets is a thing that happens in all games. Art is easier to replicate and move around in a digital format. Also why crazy complicated designs actually can be put in games. See, that's what I think with 14 is you give it, but
yes.
Okay, 12, they're able to just focus on this one game. There's no adding to it. There's nothing else changing with it. It's just a one-time thing. They had years to focus on it. Where a game like 14, they only get 2 years. The 2 years is between expansions. So they have to create all these new zones, all these new mechanics within that span of time.
I know. And like I went to school for this specifically. So my degree is video game art and design.
Yeah.
So like I know how to model. I know about modular modeling. And
copy and pasting. Like it just has to happen.
And it can work. Like WoW has it a little bit too. Like there will be times where I can tell it's the same tree, but like they rotate it enough. But the difference is usually in WoW, I think there's more peaks and valleys and hills where even with the duplicated tree, you can kind of mask it because it's not so obvious. But I think in Final Fantasy XIV, I think my biggest gripe with it aesthetically is it's so obviously modular that it's like they didn't bother to try to make it look unique. Because there's so many games that do we're talking about where you just copy paste, but they do it in a pleasing way. Like, what was that pirate game you showed me, the Amazon one? That's an MMO, but that feels great.
New World? Yeah, New World?
Yeah, New World looks great for what it is.
That one feels... That was another one, though, too. It's like the game then looks really good, but then the gameplay... That's where I think a game, though, still has to have the gameplay side of it to really work. I will agree, though. I think when it comes to MMOs, because I'm a MMO person, I think WoW's art style I like a lot more, because it's got a cozy fantasy feel to it.
Agreed.
I think 14, though, I've just played for so long that it's always going to be my, like, MMO.
Well, like, I'll always defend Final Fantasy because obviously 10's my favorite game, and I think there's so many good things about each of them, even the ones that I don't think are that great. Like 13 I don't think is that great at all, but I love the designs. And I think Vanille's character design is one of the best fantasy designs ever. So I'll always defend Final Fantasy, but I also have to be aware and kind of call out its shortcomings. And I think that's my big issue with 14. But there's been a lot of cool things I've seen in 14 too. You know what part of it is? I think when you decide to add realistic lighting and kind of realistic looking everything, there's this level of detail then you almost have to hit with every aspect. Where with World of Warcraft, it's like this chunky fantasy. So everything can be kind of silly in its design a little bit, and you can have fun painting these textures everywhere. Where Final Fantasy XIV, you can't really have fun with this like hand-painted feel. Like a wood beam has to look like real wood and like a wood beam. But if you did it in WoW, you could have all these fun, borderline like animated looking, like an animated like film swirls, looking. Yeah, like swirls. And
no, I like the cartooniness. I mean, there's this game called WildStar. That was one of my favorite MMOs. Game got closed out eventually.
Why did it get closed out?
I think it was money issues and stuff.
Weren't people all about WildStar?
Oh my god, it was so fun. But see, it had that same. It looked a lot like WoW,
Oh yeah.
but then it was like these
Oh, yeah.
spacey worlds. This game was so fun. And then I think because it went free to play, and then there's a bunch of issues that brought it down. But
Kind of sad.
let's see here with questions. Light Lolliet says, I don't know how to draw from shoulder on a small sketchbook and stuff. It would make sense for bigger paper size and canvases, though.
Wait for
Oh,
what?
like using your shoulder more, I'm thinking, right? I don't know how to draw
Oh.
from shoulder on a small sketchbook. It makes sense for bigger paper size and canvases, though.
I mean, technically, even with like a drawing this size, I guess you can kind of see my shoulder. Hold on. So I should be doing more of like this style of drawing. See how my shoulder is
using your
moving
entire
and my
arm.
wrist is kind of, yeah, see how my wrist isn't really moving, but my shoulder is technically moving it. And like you do get more fluid lines when you do that technique. Almost always you'll get more fluid lines, but when I'm doing like rendering like this, it doesn't make sense for me to like move my shoulder, or else literally my whole arm would be shaking like constantly because I'm doing like little strokes. And my way of rendering is I do either small circles, that's one of my styles of rendering, or I'll do kind of this faux cross hatching where I'll do kind of these very striking lines. Here, maybe I'll do it in an area that's easier to see. Let me zoom in. So like in here, see how it's kind of like this scribble? And then slowly I'll start to pick out some of those lines. And then maybe here, why don't we answer another question for like 5 minutes, because then I'll start rendering this so you can see the process through and through.
All right, let's see. Jen says, I get more wrist pain from using my mouse than drawing.
Oh, I mean,
Yeah.
true. I used to get more wrist pain working on a Cintiq than I do traditionally.
I know it's finding a mouse too that works for your hand well too sometimes.
Yeah.
Because the one I'm using now, I used to get wrist pain, but it was because my mouse is like lower, so that my wrist would have this weird droop effect when I played. Where the mouse I have now
Oh.
kind of has like more of a,
Ergonomic.
it matches to your hand. Ergonomic. Jens also says, shakes head at Tim. Cleaning things does not rest the wrist. Quite the opposite. Tim knows no rest.
I think what was I talking to you about this? I think for me, I find joy in like being busy. Could be a bad thing in the long run. Who knows? But I think
so. If it's your thing, then
it gives me like a peace of mind. And if I'm not drawing, I'll find something to do. And it's usually around the house because, like I said, I'm a big fan of like the placebo effect. So I read this thing about how cleaning your environment can like produce this happy feeling. And yeah, I must admit, whenever I clean, I do feel better. Like after I do it.
I mean, yeah, having clean surroundings, I think, does in general help a lot.
I mean, especially when, if you have a lot of backed up laundry, I guess you kind of have this case, you could go back, do all your laundry, and if you do it within all the day and you actually put it away as well, you just feel like it's like a breath of, I don't have to worry about this anymore. And I think the best thing is to get into a routine with it. So I'm on this routine where every Monday I do my laundry, and it's never more than one basket. I was slipping a little last month, but if you can get it to the point where you're only doing it once a week and it's really easy to do, it's way less of like a head spin when you only have one load versus, like, I guess like you would probably have like 7. You're a little backed up right now.
I'm backed up a little bit right now.
Like that would stress me out.
I mean, yeah, it stresses me out a little bit, but I'll get to it. I'm still doing a load a week. I have to be probably doing like 3 loads a week to slowly catch up. Because my load a week's just basically what I wear normally. Ira says, any tips for drawing darker skin tones with graphite? I tried to make it more about subtraction than adding, but it's still hard to make features pop for me.
Okay, so for my Queen of Hearts, she is definitely a darker skinned mermaid. So I'm trying to see where I could do this. Essentially, I believe in the additive method. So I believe in layering when you're doing darker skin tones. So I don't go just dark, like I don't pull out an HB and just go ham on the skin tone. I build it up very slowly. Actually, even this skin tone is mostly 2H. So I'm not even using a dark pencil yet. I'll wait until the very end to like really push the values, but something I have noticed is when you're doing a darker skin tone, you kind of have to have it feel consistent and cohesive throughout. So like right now, her lower abdomen here is probably a little too light. So I need to make it feel like it fits the rest of her skin tone. And same with like this shoulder. Once I figure out what I'm doing with the hair here, I'll build this back up and see, I'll just go back and forth on it. Back and forth. And then eventually I'll find that skin tone value and then I can move on. But I'm never like going straight to, you know what, I'll do it on the back of this. So if I went straight for like an HB and I like really started pushing it, look how much darker that is compared to the skin value I have in here. And you can tell this is actually more of like a light mid-tone gray, where this is I'm starting to push like close to black value. And I think if you've never really drawn darker skin tones before, you would assume like this would be the route to take, is to go like dark. But admittedly, I still keep it very, very light. And it's only when I'm doing like the final touches that I'll push it darker where it needs to be. But like right now, she reads as a dark-skinned mermaid. And I think it helps with contrast. So in this case, I'm going to make her hair a little lighter. And then her fin is going to be a bit lighter too. So the surrounding elements around your character can help bring up or down the value of your skin tone as well. And that's why with my Jack of Clubs, his skin tone was light. It's not going to be as fair as the Spade family. I could probably even make him a little bit more tan, honestly, bring in some of that mid-tone. But you can see how, for him, his tail and his hair is darker to make his skin feel lighter in contrast. So whenever you're working with pencil, you're always having to be aware of the contrast and how it reads. So if you're like me and you like working with pencil a lot, just make sure you're very aware of the elements within your piece and how well it reads, because it can look really cluttered really quickly, and you just need to be aware of that. Oof.
We do have someone in chat by the name of Kitty Hug Fitness asking about a tarot deck. Tarot deck? So, cool card deck, bro. Are you making a tarot deck?
You know what? That's a great idea. Thank you, Kitty Hug, for asking that question.
Oh, yeah. Kitty Hug Fitness.
So, I am working on a tarot deck. Ta-ta-da. You know what's funny, though, is working on them, I'm learning so much about constrictions within myself and how difficult it can be to not let a drawing just grow organically, because I have to keep a lot of the symbolism or a lot of the symbols and a lot of the structure that the original Rider-Waite deck had to it. So there are times like I was so frustrated with the High Priestess. To this day, I don't think I've been more frustrated and had to like redo so much of a card than the High Priestess. But I actually really liked doing the Queen of Cups. That was one of my more recent ones. But I will say, drawing the little cherub mermaids, if you can see them built into the chair here, this was very tough for me. So the tarot cards have been way more challenging than I originally thought they would be. But thank you, Kitty Hug, for reminding me to let everyone know I'm making a tarot deck. Is Kitty Hug being profane?
We might have to time her out in chat eventually. So.
We did have to block her before.
Yeah. Kitty Hug's known to be an infamous YouTube troll.
Mm-hmm. Kind of the worst kind of YouTube trolls, too.
Jen says, try and compare the designs of Final Fantasy 7 and 13. There are some very interesting similarities.
Oh my gosh, I just watched this hour-long video essay about Final Fantasy VII in comparison with Final Fantasy 13. You know what? I'll find it. I'll link it in the Discord after. It was someone trying to low-key kind of defend some of 13, but still recognize that, there were some low points. But there was so much connected to Final Fantasy VII, and apparently at the time when it was coming out, it was like 2 years prior, the tech demo for PlayStation 3 came out, where it was like the Final Fantasy VII intro video, and so many people were hyped for the remake that any news about 13 that would come out was totally sidelined by the hype train that was building for the Final Fantasy VII remake. So that's why so much of 13 feels like 7, because they felt the pressure of people wanting 7, and they were trying to implement that so much into 13.
It's kind of sad, actually.
And 13 apparently went through production hell, where it changed directors a couple of times, and even the software that they were using to create it was kind of falling apart. So there was a lot of just broken things, and that's why if you look at Final Fantasy Remake, if you've played it, the first part, it's a somewhat similar battle system, like same with the timing, and you have like certain bars that could fill up, and then certain moves would take up 1 bar or 2 bars. 7 Remake has that. So apparently 13 was like the land or the jumping ground for the remake. What's that one saying of like 13 could walk so that 7 Remake could run?
Oh.
I know. But 7 or 13, apparently the other, sorry, I'm like trying to summarize the
shortened 1 hour essay.
But the other big thing is apparently localizing it, there was a lot of text and story elements that were changed for English native speaking people. So like one of the big ones was something about hope and snow, where the Japanese version, it made way more sense the way that it was translated to when they tried to do it in English. It doesn't make any sense at all, but they kept it in because they were trying to make it simpler for American audiences to understand. So I think that's why a lot of people didn't like the story either, is because there was a lot lost in translation. I still don't think it's a great story, to be honest, but hearing some of the changes that they were trying to make, what was it? Oh yeah, the rebellion group Nova, it stood for something else in Japanese, where when you translated it to English, it was something really dumb. It was like, I can't even remember. But apparently in Japan, it has like this double meaning where it doesn't translate to English. So then Nova, they had to like make up an acronym, what it meant, and it was really dumb.
Oh, no.
And then it just happened to be Hope's mom's name. It was just messy. But the one thing I can say about it is the ending. I actually did think it was really impressive. If you don't want to hear spoilers, just mute us for like 10 seconds. But at the very end, spoiler, Vanille and Fang sacrifice themselves to help hold up the world that's falling. And they turn into like this crystallis, like this giant crystal formation, and it's huge. It's like huge, huge, huge. And then after you see the whole reveal, it's the logo for Final Fantasy 13. And the whole game, like even looking at the box art, the logo is very abstract. You can't really tell what's going on, but you see these 2 female figures kind of in like this big swirling mess. So when the ending and they pan out and you see this giant crystal thing and you see the Fang and Vanille connection, it was one of those really cool moments, because Square's really bad about like keeping things subtle sometimes. But that was I thought that was really clever. So good job. And then they try to do it again with 15. Not as successful with the logo. But there were a lot of things I liked about 15, though. I don't want to, poop on it either, because there was a lot I liked about 15. Specifically, the first half I thought was a lot of fun.
I loved the first half.
First half was a lot of fun.
I think everyone can agree, though, that second half was just rushed, yeah.
Which I'm nervous with, like moving forward with future series in 16. But you know what gave me hope was the remake part 1. I actually liked the remake part 1. I do think some of the changes they made were for the worse, but I thought a lot of it was great. And playing it, I have rarely played a fantasy game that's an action fantasy game that I genuinely think is like perfect for a battle system. And I think the remake is like literally perfect. And the fact that it's visually stunning helps, but it's just fun to play, which I wasn't expecting from the remake. I was gonna play it regardless because it's a Final Fantasy main game, but I actually really like the gameplay.
Fast forward till like 20 years from now when they do the remake remastered, and it's gonna be have
Remake remaster.
Yeah, it's gonna happen, and NPCs will all have their own unique looks. That's the only quirk I had with the game was looking at the NPCs and they like look across the street. I think because the game looks so good too, and like old games when you had two NPCs that look the same, you kind of like it's kind of almost kind of cute. But when it's this hyper realistic game and two NPCs look the same, it's kind of creepy. Especially when they're like next to each other. Yeah.
I would actually say it's one of the most distracting things in Final Fantasy VII Remake because the main cast is so wildly interesting looking, and then every townsperson looks like just a casual walker by on like in real life. And it just doesn't fit for me the tone that they're going with the other characters. Like, why would Barrett look the way he does? Or even Tifa. And then everyone else is just like sweater or hoodie and jeans.
I mean, yeah.
I'm not a big fan of that at all. Especially seeing the NPCs in every other Final Fantasy game.
Well, 12 especially, watching you play it, everyone feels part of the world.
100%. Yeah. And their outfits feel well designed and like attributed to wherever location they are in the game. I think 10 does a great way of that too, of like in the more tropical areas they have more skin showing, but it's still done in a way that feels like it was homemade in the village that they lived in. And then you go to Bavel, like the capital city, and everyone's like very covered in robes, very elaborate pattern designs, and it fits so well. And you play 7, you're like, oh, that guy is wearing a gray hoodie with blue jeans. Like, it's just not
cool,
not great for me.
My laptop battery's about to die soon, so.
Oh, do you want to go get it really quick?
I might just grab the charger. Yeah.
Actually, could you get me more water then?
Yeah. Actually, I'm gonna get a water too.
Let me find a question that I can jump on here. Kitty, how dare you? Jen says, Square Enix are very bad with jumping on new hypes to earn more money. 13 was the victim of them insisting on designing their own engine the same way that Unreal Engine became so popular, among other things. Agreed. It's like you want to applaud them for wanting to create their own Crystallis rendering system and engine, but in the end, they just started to use Unreal anyways. So it almost felt like this big, flashy, like, look how unique and great we are that we can even develop our own tools. And then to have to kind of swallow the humble pill of, okay, maybe we'll just use what's working in the industry right now. I feel like everyone uses Unreal, and it really does work very well. I only used it for a little bit when I was in school training for, environment mapping. But it was pretty easy to use even back in 2011. So I can only imagine over the past 11 years, it's gotten better and better and better and way more adaptable. And that will always be, I think, Square Enix's main hindrance is they're so focused on what will make money that they kind of lose sight of originality. And what made a lot of the old games so great is, they were a little weird and sometimes hard to follow, but because of the vagueness, it kind of let your imagination fill in the gaps, which nowadays they try to over-explain things or they simplify it to the point where it's no longer interesting. And even playing 10 again, it's been really nice because Josh and actually Kitty Hug in the comments right now.
Kitty Hug Fitness.
Have never played 10 before, and to see them kind of get to know the story more and how much depth and how many layers there are to it and why what Yuna does is so it just speaks a lot to who she is and as to a character on what she's willing to sacrifice for the good of the whole rather than the individual. There's just a lot of really good messages in that game and a lot of hard choices, but you don't see that a lot nowadays. And maybe it's because I'm not looking. I'm sure there are things out there because I don't want to be one of those Debbie Downer people that are like, oh, things were so much better back in the day. I think they're just harder to find. Maybe I'll word it like that. Where I think in the 90s and especially the early 2000s, I think there was this sense of genuine authentic drive that drove a lot of these creative projects, whether it's with movies or games or even, well, I would say actually TV series are the one thing that actually did kind of get better as the years went on. Because like watching Queen's Gambit, I thought that was so good, and I haven't seen something like that in a long time. But when it comes to games, yeah, I would say a lot of them are taking the very relatable route rather than the creative route. So we'll see, because then, you know, Psychonauts 2 came out last year, and I thought that was excellent, and it was so weird and so unique. So yeah, I think we just got to look for them a little harder.
Jen says, I'm a little shocked that you say that with a straight face, considering Lulu's dress. What did you say? Considering Lulu's dress.
I mean, I thought 10's designs were amazing. But,
okay.
Like, okay, here's the thing about 10. This could just be me justifying it and validating it because I love it so much. But you have to imagine that because this is a fantastical world, there might be a lot of things that we would relate to, like real world stuff that wouldn't exist in their world. Like, for example, they can breathe underwater. It's never explained. It's never talked about how they can do it. But then you have to imagine that their bodies are not 100% similar to our bodies in the real world. So in my mind, even like things like sweating or like heat distribution in their body might be different. So like Lulu could walk around in what she's walking in and it not be like this big toll on her body. And since she's magical, fantasy can kind of get away with this kind of stuff. How do we know that she doesn't have some kind of a spell or ointment or something where she wouldn't be sweating? And who knows? Maybe she has a spell on her that constantly keeps her body a little cooler. Like I said, I could just be justifying it right now. But I love how unique their outfits are. I don't want games to look like Final Fantasy 15 or even like the new Dune movie that we were watching where everyone's just black and it's form-fitting and it's just not fun. For me, I would much rather nonsensical designs that fit with the world that they live in. I think Lulu's dress does fit, but I could be on the wrong end of this argument. But I'd rather see more of that rather than relatable, wearable, boring clothing.
I mean, Dune was kind of just gray, white, and black with
Not for
a
me.
color palette for the clothing.
Like I can do minimal color palettes, but I think when it comes to wardrobe design, because I think a part of me could have been a fashion designer or like wanted to go down that route, I just feel like it wasn't very inspired. And then I'll watch a movie like Jodorowsky's Dune, and it was one of my favorite directors who did The Holy Mountain. He was gonna do his own Dune movie, and they made a documentary about why it failed, but they show a lot of the concept art for it, and the characters are just wildly colored, and it feels fantastical and otherworldly. Oh, thank you, Francia Sophia, for subscribing. But yeah, when things just don't feel inspired, I'm not super into it. I mean, I can defend every other outfit in Final Fantasy X because all the rest of them make sense. Even Titus's weird outfit, it's technically a Blitzball uniform. Same with Waka, you know. It was just native to their team and how they played the game. Where like Yuna, I guess you could say it was too Asian inspired, but I thought it was great. I think it fit the summoner persona of this very like delicate but strong persona. Riku's is great, and then Orenz I think fits as well, and then Kamari's obviously is fine. Mm-hmm. But I guess Lulu would be the one that we could have an actual discussion back and forth about of whether or not it's good. I'm sticking by it though, and I like that her sexuality never really came into play, even though she's been blessed, we'll say, but they never make it to be like she is this sexual character. And I like that about her. I like that she was like so strong and her look was so bold. I mean, her look is so bold. Mm-hmm. I almost see her like exposing a lot of her skin on the top as like a play to distract enemies. You know, I always see her like trying to be one step ahead everything. Plus I just love the belts. And in my mind, This is why I also love the design. One more rant, and then I'll get back to it. And
Tim talking about Final Fantasy X.
Sorry, I'll hop off of Lulu after this. But for me, then it creates all these sub stories that I can then be inspired by, because in my mind, then, since they never explain the outfit, what if each belt represents something in her life, like a person that has died because of sin, and she took the belt, like one of their belts, dyed it black, and then added it to her dress, and that way she's carrying the weight of all of her dead friends and family members with her wherever she goes. It's like a constant reminder that they have to kill sin. You know what I mean? Like, these are the kind of stories that I'm able to then create. Like, I just made that one up, but I love the idea that could exist. You know, where if she was just wearing like a black sweater and a jeans, there's just nothing there for my mind to, you know, swirl the ideas of creativity in. But like, I don't know. Anyways, I think once I beat it, I told Josh I want to do like a cover or a fan art of it, which I rarely do fan art, but I really want to play To Xanarkin with Josh on the piano and do like a time-lapse video for YouTube. So I'm pretty excited about that. I haven't drawn Final Fantasy X fan art in like almost 20 years, you know.
I'm excited to see what you do.
I don't even know what I'm going to do yet. I definitely want to do something. How much time do I got left?
Wishy.
20 minutes? Okay.
Yeah. Good evening. I'm a little late due to a prolonged gaming session. Is the stream going to run for much longer? Yep. Actually, what Fem says, so roughly like 25, 20 more minutes-ish. Yeah. Cricket says, if you could add only color to your world, what would it be for each of you? If you could add only color to your world.
Like we'd have to pick one color?
I think so. Yeah, I don't know if I'm fully understanding, but if you had a color to your world, what would it be for each of you? I mean, I like green a lot. Or whatever that color is. You call it is it not subsurface? Or
subsurface scattering.
Light shoots through a tree. What's that called?
Through a leaf.
A leaf.
Subsurface scattering.
Yeah. I had it right. Yeah, I like that color.
So like that
or
intense
that purple,
green.
But I love the purple though at sunset. You know, like not the actual part where the sun's setting, but if you look at the horizon a little further back where it's like almost blue but also kind of purple. Whatever that color is, I like a lot.
I think because in my mind I'm thinking like, how can I be practical about picking the color? It'd probably be one that I'd want to see the most of in the world. So I would feel like it, even though I'm not the biggest fan, I feel like I'd have to pick green as well. Because the world, the environment will just look so dull if whenever I go outside it's just gray everywhere.
Oh yeah, so Cricket says one color only. So yeah, that would be the only color then you would see.
I think I'd have to pick green.
I think green would be the most practical, yeah. Because as much as I would see my purple one, I only get to see... when you think about it, there's not really much purples or blues, just...
Well, the sky.
The sky. But if it's that specific... Oh yeah, maybe... Maybe I would do blue then, because I do like the sky.
It'd have to be blue or green. I feel like it'd have to be.
But then on a cloudy day, that makes cloudy days even that much worse then.
I'm telling you, I think I would go green. As much as like the cool tones are not even my favorite colors, I'm definitely a warm tone person. But if I picked orange, I feel like it'd be very rare to see a lot of orange. I mean, maybe it would make it more special than when I actually see it, but...
Cricket, that's a good question.
That is a good question. What is the chat saying? What would you guys pick?
Yeah,
actually, make a poll really quick.
Wait, how do I do it for all the colors, though?
I'm pretty sure you can do more than one.
I can't do it, remember? I'm not you.
You have to go to this one, and then... Nope. Yeah,
click that.
And then make sure we'll turn volume off for a second.
Oh my goodness, let's take a look here. No, see, you can't really do it, because you'd have to put in specific colors.
Yeah. No, but that's what you do.
But you can only do 4 colors, Tim.
Can't you add more than 4?
No.
Are you sure?
I just pressed add and that's where it stopped at.
Oh, then never mind. All right, never mind. I guess you might.
We could do like primary colors, I guess, but we can't even get those all in.
I guess you guys will have to ask on the, or just put on the chat. Really quick too, I'm using my Orenz, or no, not my Orenz, my Mono Zero eraser. Don't mind the cat bites on it, but I'll use the edge of the eraser, and I'm trying to create more of these divot triangles because I'm trying to give the impression of the pip, so the spade. So I want these nice pointed, sharp edges. So I'll just use my eraser, and you see how that creates that nice, clean edge? Oh, there's one of the cats.
Which one? Oh my goodness!
Oh, welcome, Astrid.
Hi. Welcome. Say hi to everybody.
You want to say hi to the chat?
The cone had to go back on temporarily because she broke open one little bit of the scab. But it should be coming off tomorrow because the scab's so close. Yeah, this
So,
scab's really
for those of you who are new to the
close.
chat, this is Astrid the cat.
Nice.
Hi, baby.
Go say hi to everybody.
I'll put it down.
Nice.
She's like, not really.
Yeah, do you see? Astrid. Hi, sweet.
Hey, baby.
Do you see? Oh.
Oh.
All right, bye, Astrid.
Okay, well. She's like, you make me do this. I'm going to step over your drawing.
That's the level of comfortable Tim is with the cats just walking on his drawings.
I mean, kind of the beauty of not working with paint is I don't have to worry about like their feet getting covered in paint and then spreading it all over the house.
That would be awful.
Wouldn't be great. Would not be great.
That collar is, yeah.
Our little Clementine.
The little Clementine collar. I mean, way better than the plastic cones, and she actually moves around. When we did it as a plastic cone, she
Not happy.
would not move. She just laid in the same spot all day. Astrid, your scab's so close. The scab's been taking longer though than usual, I feel like. Just bigger. Well, plus you ripped it open.
So you can kind of see how this has been growing, and I'll probably add a few more smaller ones. But I'm just going to basically be doing that off the stream on this entire tail.
Gotta find a good movie tonight.
Right. Well, what was there I wanted to watch?
Was it the one Kyle recommended?
Oh, no.
Or-
Well, Titan I have to pay attention to because it's
Oh, okay.
subtitled. No, I want to start watching the Olympics.
Is that today?
They've already started doing some of the preliminary stuff. And guess what's first is curling.
Oh my
And
god.
I just watched this documentary about it. I'm like weirdly into Olympics. And I say weirdly because I'm not even a big sports guy. Like I rarely watch sports, but for some reason the Olympics, I love them.
Well, you love figure skating a lot.
I love figure skating.
Yeah.
But I think I love competition like this, and I always get such a good vibe from watching the Olympics. I think because everyone that is there just appreciates even being there, and you can just tell that the experience is something that they've worked so hard to get to. And I don't know. I find it really inspiring. I love watching it. So this is a good example where the pole that he's holding, or the trident or whatever, I figure out what this is going to be, to make it pop out against the tail fin, I'm going to make this a little darker so that by contrast, it's easier to see. So you can see how already it's standing out now much more against the tail fin. And I'll do that along the whole edge. So you can see how even giving it a nice defined edge will help separate it. I mean, that's more of an obvious one. But then as you build up the value, I still kind of want a nice highlight going down the center. But it just really helps dictate the two subject matters from one another, like that. And then something I might do is down the center of the tail fin, I'll probably make it a little lighter in value to kind of give the illusion of the form, so more of a cylindrical form. Because remember, going back to all the basic forms, there's 4 of them: sphere, box, cone, and cylinder. So in this case, the tail would be cylindrical. So I have a habit then of shading it in the form where the center was where the highlight will be, because I don't really render things realistically in the sense of there being like a lighting source usually, but I'll create the illusion of form through this kind of faux lighting. So like wherever there will be occlusion shadows, like under the armpit or under the neck, under the eyeballs, you know, or in the eye socket, it'll be a little darker. And it kind of creates this illusion of lighting through form, which I've always really enjoyed doing that in my drawings. So,
That's something I didn't know you did, actually.
Yeah.
Always
I used to I called it pillow shading. Because if you think of like a pillow, if we have like a pillow, so the edges will be the darkest, and then the middle will be kind of the lightest, and then I just shade out. And then usually wherever there will be bounce light, I'll make it just a little lighter on one of the edges. That's why I call it pillow shading. So you just take that concept and apply it, obviously everywhere, but
to a mermaid fin.
To a mermaid fin. So yeah, if you guys have any last minute questions, we're entering our last 10 minutes here. And then we're going to cut it off. And then I'll probably work further on this today and tonight. I'm actually feeling the vibe right now with it. I'll probably look at a bunch of Amano art books and Muka and add more little decorations. I think adding the shoulder piece will help give it a bit more of that decorative quality that I think is missing about him. And then probably more of like these little circle spheres, like little hidden pearls throughout his tail fin. I think that will help. Let me zoom out just a tad. So even from where we started to now, I'm creating such a nice texture base for then me to go in and really detail afterwards. I might darken some of this fin here, because I want each of the tail fins to kind of allude to the pip that they're representing. So for him, it would be the spades. I mean, this one's a little more obvious, but you can tell it's a spade. A little more nautical looking, but it's definitely a spade. So I want this to be darker so that when people are playing with the cards, it's more obvious what it is. And then that's why with like the heart family, I have to make her fin. Actually, I went a little too dark already, but I'm going to make this a little lighter because the diamond and the heart suit are white in this card deck, where the spades and the clubs are still black.
Because you're not going to do red on them, so
no.
So keeping your
to a lot of people's dismay, I'm not adding color to the card deck. Which I know a lot of people were frustrated with the last one, but I specialize in pencil art, specifically like graphite. It didn't feel right forcing color into it when I didn't want the project to be color. I think with certain projects I might add color in the future, but for this one, definitely not. Like, I know I've already had some people on the latest post I did about my tarot deck ask about doing like 2 versions, but I just I don't see there being 2 versions of it, honestly. I think because I put so much time and effort into the understanding of contrast and values within the piece, that by adding color, it almost takes away the extra added work that I did trying to make it read right with just grayscale values. Not that it would be bad, it just, you know.
Fem says, feels like Schwa is staring right into my soul from time to time.
Oh, looking at the camera?
Yeah, when I look at the camera. Mostly just thinking about lunch right now. Tofu scramble or...
Oh, could we make that tofu stir fry one more time?
It's for dinner tonight?
Or for like after the stream ends?
No, because I have to press the tofu down. I have to press the tofu for like an hour.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. I can make it for dinner.
Oh, you know what? I have leftover the mod pizza from yesterday.
I think we still have leftover stir fry.
Oh, do we really?
Yeah, I'm
Well,
pretty
there we
sure.
go. I'm a happy camper.
Trying to see if your soul can give me some lunch suggestions, fam.
Yeah.
Maybe tofu. That's what I'll make for myself. And you can have those leftovers.
Okay.
Tofu scramble. We don't have any more of those nuggies. So I can't make those. Fem says you can put the card deck twice on your site, but just call them the Color Them Yourself deck. It's colored in quotations.
I mean, that'd be kind of funny.
Alvin says, how do you perfectly shade the light pencil as a guide before you shade in darker?
So I guess kind of like what I'm doing on this top part of the fin here. You can see how I'm creating basically a foundation to put darker pencils on top of. You know what? Because we only have a little bit left on the stream, let me show you. So this is an HB pencil. So when I push into it, you'll see how much darker it can go than my 2H. I'm just wondering if you can see that on the camera. A little bit. But essentially, I'm creating a guidelines essentially for myself to put in these darker values. So I'll put this one a little darker. Maybe that'll show up better.
Yeah, the camera is just a little lighter than what it's showing.
I think when I remove my hand, it gets a little darker. Yeah. So then, like under him, I wanted this pretty dark. So here, this one right here comes to a point, but then this is gonna be very dark, like near black.
Astrid.
Where is she?
She's just staring into the vent. She's like waiting for the heat to turn on.
Oh.
Honey.
Do you see the difference there in the value? So even look like here to here, you can see how here it's much lighter. It's a little harder to tell on this camera, but I'm definitely pushing this much darker. And I wouldn't be able to go in as confidently if I didn't have that 2H underneath, kind of already telling me where to place it. Hi, baby girl.
Yes, sweet. Oh, sweetie. She loves the heat vents in wintertime, so she ends up just laying in front of them sometimes.
Does anyone else cats do that? Just like lay in front of a heat vent? I haven't been around that many cats in my life, but I've never seen that before.
You guys getting me hungry even though I still will go to sleep in an hour. That stir fry sounds good though. Still waiting for recipe book by Schwa. Yes, I will maybe illustrate it by Tim. I know we'd have talked about a pancake one, but it's something that we're not really sure.
No, I want
right
to do
now.
a pancake one.
I
Oh,
do
not
wanna-
right now.
Yeah, I just don't know like how soon. Well, Astrid, your scab is so close to healing up.
I think we'll probably start taking a stab at it after Drawtober this year, because once this mermaid deck's done, I'm going to replace that hour with doing Drawtober stuff, and then once Drawtober is over, it kind of opens up one of my time frames for the day, and I think then we could start working on it. And in the meantime, we can keep experimenting with different flavors of pancakes, see if they would even be good enough to put in the book.
I know, I could revisit those beet pancakes for you.
Oh, I loved the beet pancakes. Okay, so you kind of see the difference in the value. I think when I zoom out, you can kind of see it better, but here is much darker than here. And this is only an HB. Eventually, I'll pull out here's a 4B, for instance. When I go in with this pencil, I mean, we're really going dark then. So I try to use this sparingly because it's so dark, it will be very difficult to erase. So when I'm going in and placing it, it's usually just touching up what is already there and edging it out just a little further. So like the tip of here, see how much darker that gets? And sometimes if I don't want to go too dark too soon, it's so hard to erase it that I feel like I've messed up. So that's why I almost work entirely with the 3H, and it helps prevent smudging as well, because this pencil, like a 3B, will smudge very easily, where if I'm doing like, see how there's almost nothing with the, what is this? This is a 3H, so this is very light. But you can see, you can still get, pretty dark. It just, I feel more comfortable knowing I can erase it with a 3H.
Fem, can you see the contrast? Not really. I was focused on the cat. My cat does go lay in the radiator though. Yeah, Astrid will just
Sits there.
snooze. Like she'll lay out, belly up, and just sleep in front of the vent. Yeah, I feel like you're kind of getting to that, just a lot of tedious work kind of phase of it though. Which you seem to enjoy though.
I love this phase.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's usually the foundation that I don't enjoy doing that much. I love rendering.
Kind of
Which
therapeutic.
I think is kind of opposite of a lot of artists, where they hate the rendering phase. They love like the initial concepting stage, which, yeah, it can be fun for sure. But for me, I really find joy in the rendering. So once I get him to a place where I can start really detailing, that's where I'll really have fun working on him. And to be honest, even with this stream, I actually feel better with the direction we're moving in with him.
Oh, yeah.
And even adding in like these fun little details, kind of going back to what we were talking about Final Fantasy, but having these, fun just elements included that differentiate them just even a hair more than would be there otherwise.
It gives them a story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's more elements of, when you look at it, you have to figure out like, did they make that shoulder guard? Is there a place that made it for them? What are the elements being made out of? Like maybe I'll add a coral or an actual like shell to act as the shoulder guard. Like who knows? But yeah, I feel pretty good about this. Do you have any last minute questions? Because
Wishy says our neighbors used to have a calico cat. She was always open for pets and scratches. We gave her an old man's name, unfortunately, before knowing any better. Oh, yeah, I love calico cats. I always wanted one. So when I saw Astrid at the what is it, Humane Society, or what is it?
Yeah, Hawes.
Hawes, yeah. I forget what they call it though. It's like an animal shelter. But yeah, I was like, I need this cat. She's gorgeous. And then Tim Boys wanted a little black cat, so then Casper came along. Magically.
Well, it's so weird because I mean, I like just started getting used to the idea of like really liking cats, and then I was like, if I ever got one, I would really like a black cat because I love Halloween and blah blah blah. And then some of you already know the story, but essentially, Casper was outside of my best friend Kat, who was in the stream earlier, her mom's house in the middle of winter. So this little like black kitten was trying to find like shelter or food anywhere. And then Kat's mom brought in the cat, and then initially it was given to the sister, but then the sister was allergic, so then Casper had nowhere to go, and it like just so happened to work out that if we got another cat, we wanted a boy cat, because apparently a boy cat and a girl cat work better than two girls. So I wanted a boy black cat. So the fact that this random kitten in the middle of winter found its way to this house is just, it's crazy when you think about it. But that's how we got Casper. And then this year we're getting a third one.
Yeah, I was going to say Tim, because I've wanted a third cat, but Tim wasn't so sure yet. But now you're feeling it, so.
The main reason is, so Astrid, Tangerine Cat, is kind of more of a on her own, likes to, do things on her time, where Casper wants to play all the time, regardless of concern of other safety. So Casper needs a playmate, and then Astrid needs Casper to be distracted by something else. So it just works out if we got another little, basically a little brother for Casper.
And we get to pick this one up together.
Yeah, it will be kind of nice, because the first two were definitely like, this is your cat, this is my cat. Where I think this one will be, this was our cat more.
Yeah.
I mean, I still see Astrid as like my cat too.
I was saying, Casper's my kitty too. He's a cutie.
Yeah.
Fem says, are we ever going to see a short, chubbier mer person? I know they swim a lot, but they would love to see that. But still would love to see that.
I know, because going into my idea of like their structure, imagining them having to swim even to go anywhere, like it would take so much muscle movement to move their whole body. I always imagined they would all be slender looking. I think if I did more of like a rounder shaped merman or mermaid, I think they would be more associated with like a creature. So like a turtle mermaid, I think would have more of that robust shaping. I know for one of the kings, I definitely want to do more bulk, which I rarely draw, but definitely like related to like a shark or like a whale, and just give them more of that structure of that creature integrated with like a mermaid. So possibly, I know for my Aquatica Nautica upstairs, I definitely want to play with a couple different sizes. I think for this card deck, they're probably going to be pretty similar to all of the ones that I already have lined up, where they're kind of that slender build. I think just to fit with the card and the shaping that I want to do, with like the tail wrapping around and always being in this top left corner. If that's something that you've kind of noticed, is I'm purposely putting the tails in the top left to kind of match that. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see if like this gets tired fast, because this is only the third card I've really rendered. So to have every tail and every pip kind of end in the corner might be a little difficult, but that's the challenge, I guess.
You've started it. Now you must end it.
Right. I don't know why. I was just so determined that in 2022 I would have another card deck. I think going back to cons and just seeing how much people like card decks, and it's such a practical item, that I was always wanting to do a mermaid card deck anyways, but I think that was the push I needed of just doing it, just start.
Oh, Fem says like a lazy mer person or someone that has royalty that gets carried around in some way or uses an animal to get around.
Actually, that's a good
cool.
idea.
Yeah, I like that. Actually, that would be really cool in your underwater one. It's like a royal mer person.
Yeah, I like that idea. I mean, Aquatica Nautica, I'm coming up to the 60-hour mark, so I'll do a video for... So normally when I do video content stuff, I'll release it to my Patreon backers first, and then 3 months later I'll post it public on YouTube. So sometime this month I'll have the Aquatica Nautica video up, because I think I'm at like hour 56, I believe. So I'm literally like right there. And it'll be cool to see. So I do every 20 hours I make a new video on it. And I was just rewatching my 20 and 40 hour one, and I can definitely see the differences between each video, and especially with this new one coming out, you'll definitely see the difference. It's just cool. It's cool seeing it grow, especially because it's such a hard piece to want to work on, knowing that it's just not going to be finished anytime soon. And that push sometimes is harder to like sit down and work on an hour on that drawing, because you know when you end it, it will look very much the same. Like it's harder to see the time and effort you just put in. Okay, I think we're going to cut the stream off. So yeah, definitely stay tuned. I'll post a picture at least on the Discord, but if you guys were working alongside me today, just post on the Discord below the stream follow along. I always like to see what you guys are working on as well. I'll also try to find the video of the Final Fantasy 7 versus 13 comparison. Oh my god. And thank you guys so much for coming to these live streams. We're going to keep it going. So next week we're going to... Well, next week's weird because it's the Wednesday before Amkey. We're still going to try to do a stream at the same time. But there will be 14 artists with us here next weekend for Anime Milwaukee. So if you're in Wisconsin, we will be at Amkey with our double booth. And you should stop by and say hi. But otherwise, yeah, we're going to keep doing these, and hopefully we'll see you next week. Yeah. Anything else to say?
No. Thank you, everyone, for coming today. It was nice chatting, as always.
Yeah, as always. So take care, everyone, and definitely stay inspired. I know we had a couple comments of, like, not feeling the motivation. I'm trying to send it to you right now. Yes. Stay motivated, keep going, and push past that hurdle. Okay. Take care, everyone, and hopefully we'll see you next week. Yeah. Okay. Bye, 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 bye. Bye, 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 bye.